This is Mornings, LALATE.
It's a big morning of Mornings LA with incredible great news about your force check update of 2022. It's breaking news across the board as the president sends out new force stimulus checks. They're landing by direct deposit. And I'll show you how to get these direct deposit force stimulus checks in today's recording, but we're not done there yet. States are sending out force stimulus checks as well. These are state force stimulus checks. They're huge. I'll have the latest details on that front as well. Then we'll be turning to what Jay Powell's doing with that SS benefits and his impact on inflation. Yes, he's going to raise interest rates, but how does that impact your benefits? If you're on Social Security and veterans benefits and others, I'll have the latest details in today's recording. Then we have breaking news, developing details and news about Build Back Better. New indications that they're going to get it done very quickly because the midterm elections are right around the corner. But what do they know about the gross national product that we don't know? I'll have the latest details in today's recording as well. Then we'll look at what's going on with that sixth stimulus as that French election is happening today and what it could mean for the next stimulus package across the board. There, we're not done there yet because guess what? Next up is student loan debt forgiveness. 6 executive orders, 7 laws in just a few days. What's at issue to battle the concerns about stagflation and recession? I have that front as well. But as this channel now approaches its 2-year anniversary on April 25th, 2022, we look over what we learned as a community and a family in the last year and what it tells us going forward. In 2 years, we've gotten viewers $35 million to this channel, a lot of laughs, and a lot of information. And we're not done there yet. Because guess what? We're going into 2 years of recession. And there will be more economic relief needed, and there will be more economic relief. Things are moving quickly. Things are happening very quickly as we've gone from 2 states giving you state stimulus checks in the last 3 days, and now up to 20 states. We're not just done there yet because more states could be coming. Over the last 2 years, we've had a lot of laughs, a lot of information, a lot of money we've gotten from all these stimulus packages, and we're not just done there yet. In today's recording, we'll look back over the last 2 years. We'll look at where the money is today, and we'll look at what the money is coming thereafter. There's always time for something, and there's always time for a little bit of humor as well. What type of humor? I don't know. Let's just sort of try. Let's see what we got
Lucy
here.
apparently added some red highlights to her hairstyle. Ironic she wouldn't do that with her second stimulus package. Finally, good news today. Nancy Pelosi will no longer be backing bailouts of states in her second stimulus package. That is, unless they're open hair salons after 4 p.m. on weekdays.
And good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful day from the shores of Santa Monica, California. You're live on air. I'm live on air. You're watching me live on air for Mornings LA, a special edition as we look forward and look back over the first 2 years of this channel. A lot of money and a lot at issue. And we've had a lot of good laughs, but we've also had a lot of good stimulus, and we're not done there yet because presidential force stimulus checks are landing by direct deposit. State force stimulus checks are landing by direct deposit. And I'll go over these direct deposited force stimulus checks in today's broadcasting live on air. Plus, we're going to look at what's happening with Build Back Better Act, the breaking news on that front. Also, SS 300, what's going on with that student loan debt forgiveness, and then also 6 stimulus. A lot to go over, and we'll start first with the Build Back Better Act. We have a series of new comments of insiders of the White House off the record that give us an indication of what's going on. The first one is the following. The president's staff has now indicated that the domestic agenda is front and center once again. Millions of Americans in a series of new polls say they're getting a little tired of hearing about Ukraine. They want to focus on the domestic agenda. And with that, the president's refocusing back on Build Back Better Act. The concept is to get it done very quickly, potentially in the next 30 days. Why? The midterm elections. Let's go over the calendar. Colleen, can you bring in set? Colleen, where are you? God. Let's go over the details right now. If you look at the midterm elections, you may think November is when election night is happening, but it's not. People often vote now by mail. That's 2 months to 3 months ahead of time. So October, September, August, yeah. You want to ensure that they're voting for your party by August. How do you do it? You give them stimulus by July. How do you get them stimulus by July? You make something law in June. How do you make it law in June? In the Senate, Build Back Better Act, you get the negotiations finished by May. Here you go. We're right at the present. Yeah, that's why the president is trying to get Build Back Better Act wrapped up in the next 30 days so that he gets those checks in your hand before you vote by mail this fall. Now, the president's staff also has a series of comments off the record, and they are about GDP and where this economy is going and where it's not going. And we'll go over what the comments are and also why the comments are off the record. The gross national product is a number used to describe how big a government's country or a country's economy is growing or not growing. A positive number means it's growing. Currently, Wall Street is expecting the current status of the GDP today to be 7.1%. It was a miss. It came in at 6.9%. But where's Wall Street projecting the GDP to be at the end of the year? They're projecting to be at 4%. I'm projecting it to be at a negative number. Why? I'm projecting that GDP to shrink to zero or a negative number by the end of the year because I'm projecting 2 years of recession starting in 2023. I'm not alone. Deutsche Bank has said the same thing as well. Now, what did the White House insiders say about this, and why is this important for Build Back Better Act? The White House insider said that the GDP will drop from where it is right now to 3.7% by the end of the year. This is why the comment's off the record, because it means that something's not working. If your GDP is dropping from 6.9% right now to 3.7% by the end of the year. Let's go over the rest of the comment. The rest of the comment said that this is a good number, because Germany's projected GDP by December will be 2.1%, South Korea 2.5%, and United Kingdom also 3.7%. Do I agree with this? No, it's ridiculous. It's simply ridiculous. It just makes sense. It makes less sense than Nancy Pelosi's hairstyle. It makes no sense. Why? Because our economy is bigger. We should have a bigger number. Now, this is why the insider's comments likely off the record, because the economic data continues to show misses throughout the board. And that is why the Wall Street insiders number is higher. They think it's 4.3% by the end of the year. The White House saying, no, you're over projecting. It's actually worse. We'll go over more about this in a second. But let me turn to Jay Powell's comments. He's head of the Federal Reserve. He is your Fed governor. He gave us guidance about what he's going to do with inflation, what he's going to do with interest rates, and how that impacts your benefits if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and Veterans benefits. What did he say? In a meeting late last week, he said he's going to do 50 basis point at the May FOMC meeting. This is no surprise. I've been saying this for 2 weeks. He's going to do 50 at May, and then the next FOMC meeting, 50 basis point as well. Wall Street crashed on Friday on the news. Why? It's likely because the rest of the tone of his comments. Let's be frank. Going into the meeting by Jay Powell this end of this last week, some Wall Street insiders said 3/4 of a basis point is a possibility. Come on, no, it's not a possibility. Jay Powell said that I'm not going to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do front loading. This is what Jay Powell's comment was. It's appropriate in my view to be a little bit more moving quickly. And I think it's something to be said for front end loading accommodations more appropriate. I think 50 basis point will be on the table for the May meeting. What does this mean? He means to do a little bit more aggressive at the front end and then at the back end, tailor off. Surprise? No surprise here. But does it work? It doesn't. It doesn't work. And the good news is that I don't think whatever Jay Powell is going to do in the next 30 days is going to impact your benefits. Because guess what? That's what SS300 is. Joe Biden, when running for president of the United States, and then in his presidential platform said he's going to swap COLA for inflation. Swapping COLA for inflation would bring you $300 more per month, not just 1 month, but a lifetime. Let's go with the analysis. Every year, your benefits are reassessed based upon a benchmark. That benchmark currently is COLA. And that COLA benchmark in December was 5%. All last year, I said inflation was going to be higher at about 8%. Was it? It was. It came in at 8% in December. That means that when they reassess your benefits in December, your benefits went up 5% based upon COLA. Yeah, you got cheated. It should have been 8%. Joe Biden's promise to swap COLA for inflation. So where is inflation then tonight? Where is it today for April 24th, 2022? Where's inflation right today? It is likely higher than 8%. Let's go with analysis. In the last 2 years, I've been really good at projecting things. I've been good at this number as well. Last year, Jay Powell said that inflation would be 1 to 2% in December and temporary. I said, no, it's going to be 8% and not temporary. I was right. It was 8% in December. It was 8% in January, 8% in February. So where is it right now? Well, let's look at that CPI number, the Consumer Price Index number that came in March. Higher. Yes, higher. The number was higher. It showed for the month of February to March, the U.S. economy's inflation grew at about 1/3 of a percentage point overall. But let's look at the individual numbers. Energy went up 11% from February to March. Ouch, that's a big price inflation. Then, the price of fresh fruits and vegetables and grains went up 3%, and most foods went up 2% in the 30 days. That shows price inflation. So Jay Powell's pivot is that he's going to raise interest rates to bring down inflation. Is it going to work? Of course not. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Why? Because you have 3 supply chain disruptions now causing price inflation. And Jay Powell has no tools in his toolbox to battle price inflation caused by supply chain disruption. What are the 3 supply chain disruptions? You know what they are. Number 1 was COVID. Coming out of COVID, we did not have truck drivers. Number 2 is Vladimir Putin. Number 3 is China. China's on now a major lockdown because of the subvariant of Omicron. And that subvariant of Omicron is very important because guess what? We manufacture our own products in China. We can't get them back here because of lockdown there because of Omicron subvariant. Then we buy products from China. We can't get them as well. This is the 3rd supply chain disruption. Does Jay Powell have anything to battle any of these 3? No, of course not. So in my opinion, nothing that Jay Powell is going to do is going to work. Is inflation going to stay hot? It is going to stay hot. Jay Powell says that inflation will drop to 1.9% by the end of the year. True or false? False. It ain't going to work. It's going to drop to 4%. That means you'll get another $100 of benefits. So if Joe Biden makes that swap from COLA to inflation today, you lock in about 8% inflation, about $200 more per month. Not just this month, not just this year, but lifetime. And then another $100 later this year. There you go. That is SS300. Now let's jump back to Build Back Better Act. Build Back Better Act is sort of piggybacked on this inflationary data because the economy is stalling up. The economy is stalling up. And when the economy stalls up, you need stimulus. And they give you stimulus when the economy is not doing as well. Is it not doing as well? It isn't doing as well. First, we had the comment from that White House insider who says the gross national product is shrinking faster than even Wall Street knows. That's a major indication that something's not working. Number 2, non-farm payroll jobs down dramatically, missing estimates by 60,000. We missed on the GDP number. I just went over that one, 6.9%, major miss. Then we have the housing markets down 4 consecutive months. That is how many homes are sold. We have the mortgage rate surging from 3% to 5%. We have labor shortages continue to grow, and then we have other problems across the board. Economic data after economic data continues to falter, and that is why Build Back Better Act is likely to get done. It's unlike 2020 when we had Republicans versus Democrats disagreeing where the economy's stalling. Now Democrats and Republicans both agree that the economy's stalling. And that is why the president watching the Build Back Better Act is saying, get it done. But he's not going to wait. He's taking checks out. He has taken not one, but multiple checks out of the Build Back Better Act, a congressional piece of legislation, and made them law. He made them law. Joe Biden made them law. Presidential law, presidential forced stimulus checks have landed by direct deposit. We're not done there yet because guess what? States are doing the same thing and they're doing state forced stimulus checks. And there's more states by the day, by the hour. I'm going to go over that in just a second. But the President of the United States understands that you need as much economic relief or financial relief as possible. And that's why he's also done 6 executive orders, laws, for student loan debt forgiveness, 7 stimulus in less than 7 days. Wow, this is a lot, folks. And let's go over each of them one at a time. Breaking details one at a time happening out of this White House. The first one is huge, and that one came later last year. But the most recent ones came in the last few days. Let's go over each of them one at a time. First, the president forgave student loan debts for individuals who became disabled after graduation. Then, forgave student loan debts for people who went to work in the nonprofits or public sector after graduation. But in the last 7 days, this last week, that's when it got very exciting. A presidential executive order to roll over the repayment of your student loan debts from May to September. That was executive order number 1. We weren't done there yet. Number 2 was to take student loan debts that are in default and put them in good standing. Wow, that is a biggie. Got even better. When the president says, if your debts were procured by fraud committed by the university against you, I'm going to forgive your student loan debts. Oh my goodness, that's a major one. And then on Friday, the press secretary to Joe Biden said, the complete forgiveness of student loan debt is still on the table. Wow. Was the table teal? Was the table teal? Was the pen teal? Was the drapes teal? Was the lamp teal? You know it was. Complete student loan debt forgiveness on the table? That is huge, folks. We've never heard that language from the White House. And we're not done there yet, because guess what? I told you a month ago, the Obama-Biden Education Secretary King said that Joe knows you can do a lot of other things for student loan debt forgiveness without Congress. We did those laws under Barack. Well, guess what? Another executive order for that law came in as well. Let's look at that executive order. Now, I'm no expert when it comes to student loan debts, but I want to go over the wording that you want to know. Your education secretary is Miguel Cardona, and he has now dispatched his subsecretaries to do exactly what King said she should do. Modify the language of the student loan debt forgiveness so that the debts are forgiven. And here are the words I want you to write down. I go slowly because I don't know this stuff, but I'm going to try my best. James Cavall, who's education secretary, subsecretary under Cardona, said that we're going to modify rulemaking to see what statutes should qualify for the IDR credit. Write that down, IDR credit. And there may be potential for us to improve those rules as the process goes forward. I mean, change the rules so more people get IDR credit. Then, we're going to try to do immediate debt forgiveness for hundreds of thousands of borrowers under the public, write this down, Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. Wow. And write this one down. And several thousand dollars for people under the income-based repayment programs. What you should do is you should really go to the Department of Education's websites at .gov, look under the press releases, look at every time that Miguel Cardona has spoken in the last 14 days, and pull them out and read through them. Congratulations to Chef John Meyer, who got $9,000 for student loan debt forgiveness in the last 7 days, and then I had another viewer who got student loan debt forgiveness as well. By watching this channel, if you've had the success stories, post them in the live chat. Now, the great news is that out of nowhere, the same thing has now happened. We have presidential forced stimulus checks landing by direct deposit. They're coming up later in this recording. But now states are sending by direct deposit forced stimulus checks, and they're huge. And again, once again, my reporting has actually been confirmed. I said last week that 2 states had announced forgiveness of student loan debt forgiveness, and that just messed it up. I told you last week that 2 states had announced the release of forced stimulus checks, and then I said that the number was going to grow. It did grow. So what happened? Let's go over the great details across the board. It started with Pennsylvania and Maine. Pennsylvania and Maine said that we're going to release forced stimulus checks. Let's see the Pennsylvania comment at the time. The Pennsylvania comment at the time was that we have the money, we should release it. It came from Governor Tom Wolf. Pennsylvania should not have to choose between paying for utilities or groceries, child, or gas. We have the opportunity and the means to ensure that they're not struggling for their success. Meaning we have the money in the bank account. I'm asking my state assembly to unite across the aisle for the sake of every Pennsylvanian. And when they succeed and the Commonwealth succeeds, let's get the money out of the state bank accounts into the pockets of Pennsylvanians. That was for Pennsylvania. Wolf proposing a $2,000 fourth stimulus check for his state's citizens. That same day came Maine with about $500 to $850 fourth stimulus checks. That day, Thursday, I said, here you go. There's 2, but get ready for a lot more. Guess what happened in 48 hours? We went from 2 states to what I had projected. More states coming. How many more states? 20 at the time of today's recording. Wow, this is huge. Which states are giving forced stimulus checks? How much are they giving for forced stimulus checks? How do you get the forced stimulus checks? And what are they like? It's coming up in just a second. But here's where it gets very exciting, is that it's now in the membership newsletter. You don't want to miss any check. You don't want to miss any check across the board. So become a member. The link is at the top of the chat and the pinned comment. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Then get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. Become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP and get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But in the second half of this video, we have a lot of big money. Yes, presidential forced stimulus checks have now landed by direct deposit. I'll show you how to get them. Then we'll be going over more about the state forced stimulus checks. Wow. And then in the second half, I also have a look back on this channel, what we learned over the last 2 years and what we're going to learn going forward. It's a great day because the toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, the coffee is brewing. We're just getting started with lots of checks and lots of money. It's live on air. It's Mornings LALATE. It's a special edition for the anniversary of this channel. And I'll see you back in 60 seconds. But first, here's a little bit about the members community page, as a broadcast live on air for Mornings continues from Santa Monica.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
Anything's happening. Oh, we have bad audio. we have bad audio. Oh, Lord. Let's try some music. Did that help? Maybe it'll help. In the second half of this video, we have money coming up. And a global incredible money issue. You want to become a member, the link to the top of the channel, become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. It does incredible songs on the money, and hopefully the audio clears up. That's one of those things. We'll go over what's at issue with no light, major checks on landing by the President of the United States and the issues at hand. We'll see a little bit more about the money available to you, and we'll also have a laugh. Let's have a laugh right now towards the board with what's going on.
Did you see Javita at that event with Trump this week? You see how many scarves she had on? I was three. We're in August. I thought she would, pull back on August. Maybe do 2 scarves, 1 scarf. That's 3 scarves. August. The heat wave is really big in Los Angeles. I wonder if she goes to the beach in 7 scarves. Pelosi apparently added some red highlights to her hairstyle. Ironic she wouldn't do that with her second stimulus package. Finally, good news today. Nancy Pelosi will no longer be backing bailouts of states in her second stimulus package. That is, unless they're open hair salons after 4 p.m. on weekdays.
And there you go. It was not bad audio. Across the land. There's a lot of money at issue today, and all the money that's eating how you get that money. It's important to get a lot of money that's for you. Hopefully the audio will clear up as well. If we don't, we have a trick. Let's try this trick. Who knows? Are we cleared up? Oh, we did. I don't know. It's one of those tricks. Let's try this trick. This. And did that work? It did not work. It's one of those days where, it did work. It's just one of those days where everything's just so screwy. Who knows? But the good news is I can give you checks. The good news, I can give you some checks, and I can give you some good audio, some checks. It's only on an anniversary special that you would certainly mess up the audio. But what's important for you to know is that the states are now sent out for stimulus checks by direct deposit. And this is huge, and this is breaking developing details. What's important to understand is that the states are following the lead of first stimulus. First stimulus? Yeah, let's go over the details. Back in 2020, when this channel had audio problems there as well, what was going on with Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi were negotiating over second stimulus. And Nancy said, the states are going bankrupt. Steve Mnuchin said, no, they aren't. They have fortunes. She said, no, they don't. He said, let's settle it this way. Use or lose. Use or lose. Return the money back or use it. And then it worked. It worked because states did have a lot of money, and they used it because no state's going to return money back to the federal government. And they sent out a stimulus check. Guess who saw that, apparently? Likely the Treasury Secretary now under Joe Biden, Janet Yellen, saw that likely and included that provision as well in the third stimulus package. And so guess what? The third stimulus package, which gave fortunes to states, also has a provision in there, use or lose. The concept, again, is the same. The states have to use the money or lose it, return it back to the federal government. What's the lose date? December 2022. So this is what's going to happen. Every state has money. Every state will use the money. No state will return the money. Now, let's make something very clear. I'm going to say it twice. Every state has money. Repeat, every state has money. The way the third stimulus worked is that every state was given the same amount of money based upon the citizens of the state. Every state per citizen has the same amount of money, whether it's a Republican state or a Democratic state, whether it is a poor state or a rich state. Every state was given the same amount of money by the federal government. So it's very likely that every state still has a lot of money. And so when we had Pennsylvania and also Maine say just days ago, they're sending out money to the citizens, I said, get ready for the other states. They're all going to announce it. And here you go. In less than 48 hours, 20 states have announced they're doing the same thing. Let me tell you the status of those 20 states first. The first 10 have actually passed the law in their state. The second 10 are proposing the law. Of the ones that have passed the law, some of them is an actual check to you. Others is a check when you spend something to get a check back. And then the other ones is sort of a refund when you buy something. And then in the proposed states, lots of checks. And we're just there yet. Let's make this very clear. I fully believe that virtually every single state will be doing this across the board because every state was given too much money under the third stimulus. So how do you learn what your state is doing, when they're doing it, how they're doing it, and how you get those checks? Very simple. In the membership newsletter. Go to the top of the channel, the pin comment, become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Then get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Because guess what? You saw what happened last week. The membership newsletter has been revamped. It now includes, for the first time ever, state stimulus. So what is it going to have for state stimulus? It's going to have the status for everything. It'll tell you if there is a proposed check. It'll tell you if there is a check. It'll tell you the status of the situation, and then it'll also tell you when and where. It's important to understand the case of states is a little bit different than the federal government. Why? States are led by their governors, and generally the governor is the controlling party. So the governor says he's going to do it, you're generally going to get it. So if I put in the newsletter, it's proposed, you're likely going to get it. What's also important to understand for state stimulus is that they have a major day for that use or lose. Let's go, calendar Colleen, can you come on set again? Let's go over the details of that calendaring. They have the December to use or lose it. That means they got to send you the checks by about November. To send you the checks by November, they got to get the checks ready to go out by October. To get the checks to go out by October, they have to sign into law the governor by about, September, August. September, August, and then they have to vote for it in the final state Senate by July. The other state assembly by about June. They have to announce and make a determination about this by May. There you go. Right there. That moved really quickly. That's what's at issue. Then when we turn to the situation unfolding about the other surprise, well, get ready, because there is now presidential forced stimulus checks landing by direct deposit. Let's recap. We have congressional forced stimulus checks that Congress was working in Build Back Better Act. We have the 7 stimulus for student loan debts that's happening right now. We have everything that's proposed for SS 300, but then we have state stimulus checks landing by direct deposit right now, and we have presidential forced stimulus checks landing by direct deposit right now. The first one is huge. How do you get these checks? Get your pen and paper ready or follow along with the membership newsletter starting right now. The first forced stimulus check landing by direct deposit from the president, this is presidential stimulus checks, is $6,500. Huge. The president made this law just days ago, took it out of the Build Back Better Act. It's a forced stimulus, presidential forced stimulus check. It's called the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check. What is the income qualification? So simple. Single individual, $75,000 less, you can get it. Marry a couple, $150,000 less, you can get it. Family of 4, no, you don't quadruple it. But you can get it. If you're on benefits like SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or railroad benefits, you can get it as well. It is called the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check. And how do you get this check? It's so simple. You become a member. Then, in the membership newsletter, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, you look right under the first few lines and you look for Check A. Check A, the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check, you pounce. You go right in there and apply. It'll send you to the national website. You click the link. Then you go to the state's website. Let's say you're Mississippi. You go into the website. It's the federal. Then you choose your state, Mississippi. Then you choose the Mississippi Weatherizing Grant Check, and you pounce. The check is paying out $6,500 to $12,000 in some states. The second check landing is even bigger. This, again, is a presidential forced stimulus check. Wow. $15,000 to $80,000. Forced stimulus checks are landing by direct deposit. Huge. Average view of this channel is getting $66,000 to $80,000 forced stimulus checks landing by direct deposit. Income qualification is the same. Single individual, $75,000 or less, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less, you get it. And if you're on Social Security or veterans or any benefits, you can get it as well. This is called the Homeowners Grant Check. How do you get this check? Again, the same way. Go into the membership newsletter. Open the newsletter. It's under Check A. It's Check B. Click the link, and it goes into the national website. Once on the national website, you'll see a map like this. Click your state, like Virginia. And then you go right in there, and then you go into the state's application, apply. Once approved, you get funded within 7 days. Wow, that's incredible. Then we're not done there yet, because a big third check is landing as well. This is $24,000 to $45,000. This is an MSC check, and these MSC checks are astronomical. 3 presidential checks landing by direct deposit right now. $6,500, $15,000 to $80,000, $24,000. I'll feature them more tonight on Evenings LALATE in prime time and throughout today's broadcast. You don't want to miss any of those checks, and you want to miss that show, Evenings LALATE in prime time at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Over the last 2 years, we've learned so much about each other, but we've also learned where this economy is going. It was in early 2020 that we started to see changes in this economy. Economy was picking up. And then suddenly out of nowhere, this thing we had no idea what it was called, COVID hit. It was April 25th, 2020. And on a deserted beach of Hermosa Beach, Americans were on lockdown. The town was on lockdown. And lockdown little meant what it sounded. Complete ghost town. What happened? As a ghost town, I thought maybe I should record something. A thing called the EIDL grant and the EIDL loan was happening in the United States. It means Americans didn't know about it because broadcast media wasn't covering it, sort of like they're not covering anything in this recording as well. And I knew that Americans needed explanation of what's going on with it. What happened? In the case of the EIDL grant and loan, it actually said in the grant, in the law, that when you apply, you get funded within 3 days, $10,000. Now, let's be very frank here. This is different than Joe or Donald promised you something. This isn't a promise. This is a law. In fact, it was a website as well. It said, put your name in, put your business, get paid $10,000 in 3 days. No one, repeat, no one got paid in 10 days, 3 days, or 3 weeks. No one got paid a penny. That's why I pressed record on day one. And when I pressed record on day one, I knew there was something to be said. And immediately, it became this channel. EIDL, PUA, FPUC were all the items of discussion that first day. And I often got the words wrong, like I get them wrong today. Things went a little screwy and a little bit different. But tonight on Evenings LALATE, you'll see a little bit more of that very first day of this channel. Yes, on Evenings LALATE, you'll see the very first footage of this channel ever in a special 1-hour broadcast at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. But let's take a look at what we also saw in that very first few days of this channel.
Did you see Javita at that event with Trump this week? You see how many scarves she had on? I was three. We're in August. I thought she would, pull back on August. Maybe do 2 scarves, 1 scarf. That's 3 scarves. August. The heat wave is really big in Los Angeles. I wonder if she goes to the beach in like 7 scarves. Pelosi apparently added some red highlights to her hairstyle. Ironic she wouldn't do that with her second stimulus package. Finally, good news today. Nancy Pelosi will no longer be backing bailouts of states in her second stimulus package. That is, unless they're open hair salons after 4 p.m. on weekdays.
And that was back in 2020. A lot was happening then, and eerily similar to what's happening right now. In 2020, people really didn't know what these things were, and people were very dependent upon the money, and very dependent upon the economic support, and it's likely to be the same way. Where's the future of everything in this economy? Where's the future of this channel as well? The U.S. economy, my projection, will be going to 2 years of recession starting in 2023. It'll be 2 years of recession. You had a long lockdown, and now you're going to have a long recession. And you know what a recession is? Economic instability, inability to pay things, and economy contracting, negative growth, and staggering big problems, whether it's labor, mortgage, home, housing, or auto. A lot of major problems. And with that, there's likely to be lots of stimulus. It's very ironic how even today we look exactly like day one of this channel. Because on day one of this channel, people didn't know what FPUC was, or PUA, or even PPP. In fact, PUA hadn't even gone live. It went live 3 days later on April 28th. Right now, millions of Americans don't know that there's state stimulus checks. Millions of Americans don't know that there's presidential forced stimulus checks. Millions of Americans don't know that there's student loan debt forgiveness executive orders coming every 10 seconds as you blink. It's that type of information that puts you ahead of the game. And throughout today's recordings, we're going to continue to see more of that unfold throughout the day. Tomorrow is the 2-year anniversary of this channel. You continue to see more footage of this channel as we look back and look forward. What do we learn about ourselves and our community? What we learn is that we got to do things on the come. You got to grab every check because you never know what the next check will be or won't be. You don't know when the check will be there. You don't know how big it will be. We've been very fortunate in recent days because we do have these 2 big presidential forced stimulus checks landed by direct deposit. We're very fortunate that so many states have quickly, in the last, 3 days, ramped up from no states forced stimulus checks to now 20, and could be a lot more in the next 7 days. And we're very fortunate that we have all these executive orders for student loan debt forgiveness coming out of nowhere. Things move very quickly. And in an environment where things move very quickly, you got to stay on top of it. And that's why I've stayed on point throughout the day. It's important to understand that in the last 2 years, broadcast media came in and came out of the subject matter, left people hanging, never telling you what's going on or giving the latest updates. And people often relied upon them thinking that they were the source. They weren't the source. And that ultimately, as you look at them today, they don't even give you this type of breadth of coverage. So you don't know it exists unless you watch here. I stayed on message, you stayed here, and we continue to have a laugh, and we'll continue to have laughs throughout the days. You see more footage from those earliest days of this channel. Whether I got FPUC messed up by calling it PFPUC, PFPU, QFP, I just couldn't get the name of that thing right. But along the way, we went on the whole cast of characters, whether calendar calling or calendar caught, a talking cow or a pair of lobster shorts, a waveable short or a person wears too many waveable scarves. We've met a lot of people, a lot of personalities, and yet people still forget Blaine 66. What do I got to do to get them to remember Blade 66? We've had a lot of laughs and a lot of times, and we're far from getting started. We have a lot more to do and a lot more money to get, and we're just getting started. Join me throughout the day. Coming up next, of course, is noontime if you're watching this live on air. But on 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, see a lot of that earlier footage from this channel from the very first days, and you'll see more of it tomorrow night as well. Stay informed, stay focused, but first, make sure you become a member. Go to the top of the chat, pin comment, and become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Then get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. Yes, a check D has now bounced by direct deposit in many states and going to grow in more states as well. A fourth stimulus, state stimulus check. Then we have the presidential fourth stimulus checks, $6,500, $15,000 to $80,000, and those MSC checks under Check C. Watch the videos throughout the day to learn more about those incredible checks. Stay informed, stay focused, and let's see one more clip.
In Washington, a House committee gives a blowout of Steve Mnuchin. And in San Francisco, a salon gives a blowout of Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi apparently got wavy hair. That way she can wave us goodbye as she retires from the House. Just like her bailouts of her states, Nancy's hair needed to dye.
And this is LALATE.